Hello dear friends, this is your personal English coach Divyam here, and in this video I'm going to continue from where I left off in part 1. I'm talking about the chapter called Quality, written by John Galsworthy. If you have not seen part 1, I request you to go to YouTube and in the search bar type Quality by John Galsworthy space Professor DC and you'll get part 1. Part 1 was pretty interesting, and as you know, this chapter is about quality. I'm very sure that I do not need to explain you what quality of any product is, but this chapter focuses on the quality of boots, which Gessler brother made with all their passion. They put their heart and soul in making boots. So I again insist you to see the part 1, understand it, and come back to part 2. Alright, let's continue. When at last I went, I was surprised to find out that outside one of the two little windows of his shop, another name was painted, also that of a boot maker, making, of course, for the royal family. So usually when John Galsworthy visited this shop, if you recall from part 1, for those of you who have already seen it, there were two windows, and one of the window had a not very artistic banner, and on it was written Gessler Brothers. That's it, no show off, and only one pair of boots hanging, right? But this time when the author came back after 2 long years to Gessler brother, again, why did the author have to come after 2 long years and not frequently? Because once upon a time the author absent-mindedly went inside Gessler brothers store wearing the shoes purchased in emergency from a large store, large firm, which advertised, which made a lot of publicity, which the Gessler brother could not. And when Gessler brother, one of the brother, looked at John Galsworthy's shoes, he was disappointed and he said, "Those are not my shoes." And John Galsworthy felt terrible. He felt regretted. He felt a pang of guilt. He said, "Why did I wear shoes not made by Gessler brother inside their store?" And therefore he purchased a couple of boots. Therefore he immediately ordered many boots to make them feel good. And therefore he came back after 2 long years, because as you know, once Gessler brother made boots, they would last for a long time. So he never had a chance to visit the store very frequently. He was coming back after 2 long years. So after 2 years, when he comes back, he sees that there were 2 windows. Yes, it's the same thing, but in one of the window the name has changed. In one of the window now there's no longer Gessler brother, but there's someone else who's again in the process of making royal boots, royal family boots. So what happened to the pair of the old family of boots that were hanging? The old family of boots, no longer in dignified isolation, were huddled in the single window. Inside, the now contracted well of the one little shop was more scented and darker than ever. Let's understand this. If you recall from part 1, there were 2 nice boots hanging all the time in Gessler brothers store, looking at which the customers would get attracted. But when John Galsworthy visited after a long time, one window had another name, and those boots, which were very familiar, looking at which the customers would enter, now they were no longer there. They were in a corner, huddled. What is huddled? It's nothing but crowded together. They were just presented from one window, and it looked as if they are huddled or crowded at one place. What is the meaning of dignified? Dignified is having or showing a composed or serious manner that is worthy of respect, right? You say you have a dignified position in a company. Alright, so in one of the window, these boots were huddled up. The author also observed that the contracted well or the shrunken space of the shop had more smell coming than usual, and it was darker than ever. Well, before, in earlier times, before 2 years, it was not the case. There was no scent to attract the customers. There was no darkness. But now the author observed that the small shop and one of the part of the shop was really dark and more smell coming from it. And it was longer than usual too, before a face peered down and the tip top of Bast's slippers began. So whenever John Galsworthy visited the shop, first of all, he had to sit and wait patiently as if he is inside a church. Alright? And Gessler brother, one of the Gessler brother would peek out from the well, from his workplace, and then gradually he would come down, making the noise of the type of slippers called Bast slippers. But this time, after 2 years, it took a long time than usual. It took a longer time than usual. It took more minutes for somebody to come down, for one of the brothers to come down. At last he stood before me. At last At last one of the Gessler brothers stood in front of the author and gazing through those rusty iron spectacles. You must have seen that your grandmothers and grandfathers, they wear these iron spectacles, and they usually are not of that great quality. Nowadays we get so many types of spectacles and so many varieties, so many colors, rust proof, stainless steel. But in those days that was not the case. This chapter was written long back, and Gessler brothers were old fashioned, as we know. They were only known for their work, so their spectacles had rusted. And the author said, not the author, but one of the Gessler brother said, Mr. Innit. Now we know they were old, so their pronunciations were not exact. The author replies, Mr. Gessler, I stammer, but your boots are really too good, See, these are quite decent still. Now John Galsworthy remembers that he wore some other shoes made by bigger firms who were a competition to Gessler brothers, and we know that he had purchased lots of boots. So after 2 years as well, he comes in and started praising Gessler brother for their work. He says, Mr. Gessler, your boots are so fine. Even after 2 years, they are still as they were when I purchased them. And I stretched out to him my foot. He looked at it and said, yes, people do not want good boots, it seems. So one of the brothers, he said, John Galsworthy, looks like nowadays people do not want good boots, which means his customers had reduced. Very few people came to Gessler brothers for boot making, and that's why he passed this comment when the author praised. To get away from his reproachful eyes and voice, I hastily remarked, what have you done to your shop? So what is the meaning of reproach? Reproaches express one's disapproval or disappointment in their actions. So there was a disappointment in one of the Gessler brothers' eyes, and therefore John Galsworthy said, the shop has changed, the banner has changed, there are a lot of things that are changed, the interiors have changed. What have you done to your shop? Are you not maintaining it? He answered quietly, it was too expensive. Do you want some boots? Means the maintaining of the shop was too expensive. He could not maintain the shop. They did not have enough money. Again, why didn't they have enough money? Because people no longer came to Gessler brother, but went to the larger firms who did publicity. Like today, nowadays we have Puma and Bata and whatnot, but the traditional shoemakers, they know the exact method, right? So one of the Gessler brother, when asked about the condition of the shop, answered that maintaining the shop was too expensive, so I'm unable to maintain it, I'm unable to keep it clean and tidy, and that's why this is the condition. Do you want any boots right now? Shall I make you some boots? I ordered 3 pairs, though I had only wanted 2, and quickly left. Now John Galsworthy knew about the history of Gessler brothers, and he was feeling very bad about them. So although he wanted only 2 boots, he still ordered 3 so that he could give them more money, and so that Gessler brothers still rocked in the area of boot making. I do not know quite what feeling of being part in his mind of a conspiracy against him, or not perhaps so much against him as against his idea of boot. So what is a conspiracy? This is a nice word. It means secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. It means a plan. It means a secret plan is a conspiracy. So what is the meaning of this sentence? Let me tell you, this chapter has so many tricky sentences that you have to reread and reread and reread to understand. So this sentence just means that John Galsworthy thought that he himself had conspired, made a secret plan against Gessler brother. Which plan? To shut down their business. So John Galsworthy felt that in his mind, in Gessler brothers' mind, somewhere they remembered, Gessler brother remembered that John Galsworthy conspired against them. One does not, I suppose, care to feel like that, for it was again many months before my next visit to his shop paid. I remember with the feeling, oh well, I can't leave the old boys. So here goes, perhaps it will be his elder brother. So let's understand this statement first. One does not, I suppose, care to feel like that. One doesn't bother if somebody has conspired against them or not. For it was again many months before my next visit. So here we know that the author got 3 pairs of boots. Again, they would last long time. So after many months, again the author visited his shop. So after many months, when the author visited the shop again, what was the feeling the author had? He said, I cannot leave this store, I cannot leave the old boy, I cannot leave that person. Even when he must have felt like a conspiracy, I want to go to that shop. And he also thought that if not the younger one, perhaps it should be his elder brother inside the store. But I will keep continuing, I will keep visiting this shop always. I do not want to leave this store. So with that feeling, he went again after many months. For his elder brother, I knew had not the character enough to go against me, to reproach me. For his elder brother, I knew had not character enough to reproach me even dumbly. So the author knew the nature of both the brothers. The younger one could reproach, but the elder one, according to the author, was in his own world, and he could not think about reproaching or going against someone, conspiring against someone. Even in his own original mood, he would not do that. So after many months, he visits the store, thinking that I will never leave these boys, and he thought at least it will be his elder brother who could not reproach him even dumbly. And to my relief in the shop, there did appear to be his elder brother handling a piece of leather. Exactly what the author had imagined. The elder brother was there, the younger one was not seen. And he had a piece of leather, probably he was making boots for someone. Well, Mr. Gessler, I said, how are you? He came close and peered at me. Now you know these aged people, they cannot see clearly, so they peer at you, which means they stare at you for a long time until they can identify. I am pretty well, he said, but my elder brother is dead. So the author thought it was the elder brother, but who was actually sitting there? It was the younger one, and the younger one informs the author that his elder brother was dead. And I saw that it was indeed himself, but how aged and wan. Wan is a new word, and it means pale and giving the impression of illness. So the younger one had also become pale and ill. And never before I heard him mention this mention his brother. So whenever the author visited the store, the younger one would never talk about the elder one. But here, he informed the author that my elder brother is dead. Much shocked, I murmured, "Oh, I am sorry." The author felt so bad about the news, about the fact that the elder brother was dead. "Yes," he answered. "He was a good man, he made a good boot, but he is dead." So he reconfirmed, reassured that yes, he used to make excellent boots. Now he is dead. This is true. And he touched the top of his head, where the hair had suddenly gone as thin as it had been on that of his poor brother, to indicate, I suppose, the cause of death. So while he was talking to the author, he gave some signals subconsciously by putting his hand on his head, where he himself had very thin hair, and he was indirectly trying to tell the author that it was because of the age, or maybe it was because of some other disease, that his brother passed away. He could not get over losing the other shop. Now this is a deep line. He could not get over losing the other shop. Now we know Gessler brother ran the two shops from a long time, and when they were out of business, when the larger firms started taking over the small shops of poor people, of people who actually made good quality boots, the elder one, who might have established these shops, could not digest the fact that they had to sell off one of the shops, and he was tense, he was disappointed, he was stressed, and eventually he died thinking about that shop. "Do you want any boots?" He held up the leather in his hand. "It's a beautiful piece." So the customer had a conversation with Mr. Gessler, the younger one, and hearing the news, "It is business as usual. Do you want any boots, Mr. Gessler?" the younger one said. And then he held up a leather. "It's a beautiful piece. You should get some boots made from this leather." "I ordered several pairs." Why? Because John Galsworthy felt very bad about the death, felt very bad that Gessler brothers' business was shrinking and getting destroyed. It was very long before they came, but they were better than ever. Why were the boots made by the younger ones better than ever? It was because of the same reason. The scare, the fear of losing one's business. Now, if the younger Gessler brother made excellent boots, John Galsworthy would still visit them again and again and again. So the boots were made better than ever. One could not simply wear them out, and soon after that I went abroad. So it was impossible for such boots to get worn out, to get torn, because that's how they were made, with a lot of dedication. It was over a year before I was again in London, so the boots lasted for a year. And the author comes back to London, and the first shop I went to was my old friend's, who was nothing but Mr. Gessler's shop. I had left a man of 60, came back to one of 75. So let's reread this statement. It was over a year before I was in London again. Means it was more than a year, right? And another sentence here, I had left a man of 60, which means when the younger Gessler brother was 60 years old, I had left him, and when I came back, he was of 75 years old, pinched and worn out and tremulous. Tremulous comes from trembling, which means shaking, quivering slightly. Now, the younger ones also had lost control over his muscles and sight and his body, who genuinely this time did not first know me. Of course, even the memory fades as you grow older. So the older Gessler did not recognize the customer, frequently visiting customer, who's nothing but the author himself. "Oh, Mr. Gessler," I said, sick at heart, "how splendid your boots are. See, I've been wearing this pair nearly all the time I've been abroad, and they are not half worn out, are they?" John is observing the younger Mr. Gessler, and he is terribly disappointed looking at his condition. So he starts praising to make him feel good. "I've been wearing this pair and they are so good, and they are still fresh and they're still new, and I've been using them so frequently. They're not even half worn out, they're still fresh." He looked long at my boots. He looked long because of his age. He was staring at the boots, a pair of Russia leather, and his face seemed to regain steadiness. So whenever you meet any older person, maybe of 60, 75 years, 80 years, they take some time to recognize you, and then they take some time to focus on what you're saying. So similarly was the case with the younger Gessler brother, and then he put his hand on my instep. What is an instep? This is instep, the middle portion. So John was wearing this is instep. If you see, the bootmaker is taking the measurement of the instep. So the younger Gessler brother put his hand on the instep, on the author's instep, and said, "Do they with you here? I had trouble with that pair, I remember. Do they fit you here? Are they too tight at the instep? I had trouble with that pair," which means I had trouble making that pair. I remember. So even from this sentence, you can imagine the passion and the dedication the Gessler brother had. The Gessler brother still remembers the shoes that he made, how much trouble he had to put in, how much effort he had to put in making these pairs. Look at the dedication. That is why they built good quality boots. I assured him that they had fitted beautifully because the author wanted to make him feel good. So even when they did not fit, and if you remember from part 1, once he had criticized, once he had told the Gessler brothers when they were alive and young that the boots creaked and how bad they felt. So this time the author did not want to insult them, just praise them because of their health. "Do you want any boots?" he said. "I can make them quickly. It is slack dime." Slack dime is nothing but slack time. Slack is nothing but characterized by lack of work or activity, quiet time. So the younger Gessler brothers said, "Do you want any boots? Anyway, I do not have any work. My business is getting destroyed day by day. I do not have much work. Do you want any boots? I can make them for you." I answered, Please, I want boots all around, every kind." Because the customer here, John Galsworthy, is a true fan, true well-wisher. So he said, "Give me whatever you have," even when he did not require. "I will make fresh model. Your foot must be bigger. I will make a fresh model. Your boot must be bigger." And with utter slowness, he traced round my foot and felt my toes, only once looking up to say, why was there utter slowness? Because he was aged. He did not have much of energy. But still, you see, at this age, looks like he's a sole survivor, and he is the sole earning member. There's no mention about his family, so we can imagine that he used to live alone and earn money. But at this age, when people retire, especially in India, and just hang around, Gessler brother did not do that. He still worked, and with utter slowness, from how much ever energy he had left, he started taking measurements and felt his toes and said, "Did I tell you my brother was dead?" So the younger one had forgotten that he had already informed the author that the elder brother was dead. To watch him was painful, so feeble he had grown. I was glad to get away. The author could not see how these brothers were aging, how their business was destroying, so He was happy that he had gotten away from the shop. He was happy that he had escaped the shop after giving the order, because the author could not see how weak they had grown, how weak he had grown, not they, because the elder brother was dead. I had given those boots up when one evening they came. So let's reframe this sentence. I had given up those boots, meaning the author thought that the Gessler brother was getting feeble and getting pale. So he said, let me not think about those boots, let me not think about my order. And the author had almost given up. He said, it's okay if the boots did not come, it's alright. But one evening they did come. Opening the parcel, I set the 4 pairs out in a row. So the author had ordered 4 pairs of boots and they came out in a row. Then one by one the author tried them on. No doubt they were perfectly fine in shape and fit, finishing, quality of leather, and they were the best he had ever made. Why? Because his business was diminishing. He didn't want his customer, Gessler brother did not want his customer to choose larger firms, so he gave his best. And in the mouth of one of the town walking boots, I found his bill. So from where you put on the shoes, it's called the mouth, and Gessler brother had put a bill over there. The amount was the same, but it gave me a quiet shock. Now, quarter day has a meaning. It means each of the 4 days fixed by custom as marking of quarters of the year, on which some tenancies begin and end, and quarterly payment of rent and other charges fall due. Now this is a British term, as we can predict. So usually this younger Gessler brother would send the bill till the quarter day, till one of the days where it was declared to be a quarter day. But this time the brother had sent the bill right there. The bill was right at the mouth of one of the town walking booths. I flew downstairs, which means in my house, I went downstairs immediately, rapidly, and wrote a check and posted it at once with my own hand. So as soon as the author saw Gessler brothers' bill, he immediately wrote a check and gave it away, paid off the bill. A week later, passing a little street, I thought I would go in and tell him how splendidly the new boots fit in. Because the author is a well-wisher, and because the author is feeling bad that Gessler brother is getting weaker. And what's next? But when I came to where his shop had been, his name was gone. So as I said earlier, John was a well-wisher. He also was worried about Gessler brother. He understood the situation that Gessler brother, who put their heart and soul in making boots, are gonna deplete because of the age. Their business is having a downfall. John could not see any other person handling their business. It is getting expensive just to maintain the shop. One of the brothers had died. So just like a family member, just like a well-wisher, just like someone who always gives good luck, he always went to the shop and appreciated the work, right? And a week later, when he goes there, what he finds is his name was gone. Still there in the window were the slim pumps, the patent leathers with cloth tops, the sooty riding boots. So pump shoes, something like this. It had patent leathers with cloth tops. Or it might have been something like this. You see the patent leather, and these are riding boots. So a week later, when John went back to the shop to appreciate, he observed that Gessler brother, the banner was gone. The banner, which was very simple, it was not showing off, it didn't mean to attract people by show off. Now that banner disappeared, and there was a window, if you remember, if you recall from part 1, There were booths hanging just to tell people that they made boots. Now, boots were there. They were slim pumps, as it's written here, with nice patented leather. The same kind of shoes that we see here. So what had happened? I went in very much disturbed. John was disturbed to find out that the name was gone. The standard, the usual boots which used to be there, they are gone. This disturbed him a lot. In the two little shops, again made into one, was a young man with an English face. So now the Gessler brother, only one brother, had survived, and now even he was not there. There was somebody else, some other person, young enough, not from maybe his own place, that is London. He was not from London, maybe from somewhere else, and he had English accent. So the author calls or tries to call one brother, the younger one that is left, Mr. Gessler in. I said, he gave me a strange I thought it was integrating, which means to bring into equal proportion, but here it is ingratiating. What is the meaning of ingratiating? Look, here it is, intended to gain approval or favor. Ingratiate, if you use it as a verb, bring oneself into favor with someone by flattering or trying to please them. So what happens? Just imagine yourself getting into a shop which you used to visit very often, and the shop is replaced by somebody else selling the same product. You get inside and ask for the person, the owner who was there before, and the new person, he doesn't want to lose you. You are the new customer, so he tries to flatter you, and that's why they have mentioned ingratiating. The author has used the word ingratiating. Look, so what does he say? No sir, he said, no, but we can attend to anything with pleasure. We have taken the shop over. You have seen our name, no doubt, next door. We make for some very good people. As I said, the new English guy doesn't want to lose this customer, so he said, no, Mr. Gessler doesn't exist here anymore, but I'm here to help you, and our business, we make boots for some of the very great people you can find out. Yes, I said, but Mr. Gessler? Oh, he answered, dead. The younger brother was dead as well. Dead? But I only received these boots from him last Wednesday week. John could not believe what he had just heard. Even the younger brother was dead. The same person from whom he made boots for years and years and years. The same brother who had a small shop, never believed in publicity, from whom even the author's father made boots, he was dead? Unbelievable. Ah, he said, a shocking go. Poor old man starved himself. Good God. Now, friends, there should be a question in your mind. Why did the Gessler brothers starve themselves? Is it because they didn't have money? They did have money to at least buy food and eat, but they were into boot making. They forgot about food. So you yourself must have imagined this when you are engrossed in studies, when you are totally into your passion, your hobby, you forget eating, you forget sleep because you love what you're doing. So similarly, Gessler brother would starve themselves making booze. They would forget that they had to eat the food. Good God. Slow starvation, the doctor called it. You see, he went to work in such a way, would keep the shop on, wouldn't have a soul touch his boots except himself. Slow starvation means slowly he reduced eating because he was into his passion. The doctors named the disease, the reason of death, as slow starvation. And why? Because he used to work in such a way. He used to be engrossed in boot making. He would keep the shop on even after hours, maybe if the shop time was 11 to say 9 p.m. they would still keep it on, and he would let nobody touch the booths except himself. Very strict way of handling the business. When he got an order, it took him such a time. People won't wait. So people would come to him, his old customers, and they would say something like, Mr. Gessler, can you please make me so and so boots, and I need it by tomorrow. Can you please do it quickly? Now Mr. Gessler believed in quality. Mr. Gessler and the Gessler brothers also knew that there are some large firms who are constantly advertising, constantly doing a lot of publicity in the TVs and radios and commercials. So they knew that they had to be at par with those companies. And how can that happen? It can only happen when they satisfy their customers. If the customer said they want the boots by tomorrow, then Mr. Gessler would by any means work hard day and night to make sure that the boots are made. So that's why it's written, people would not wait. He lost everybody, and he'd sit going on and on and on. I would say that for him, not a man in London made a better boot. So even the person who replaced Mr. Gessler knew about the art, knew about the passion that Mr. Gessler had. And after he's dead, even after that, the legacy remains. Even after that, everybody remembers that there's a shop where Mr. Gessler made boots which nobody else did in the whole London. But look at the competition. He never advertised. As I said, they didn't have money to make the advertisements and publicity and hire people and maybe distribute banners or brochures about their shop. No, they just had a small shop with a not very attractive banner, and that too with just 2 pairs of boots hanging and with 2 small windows, a small shop. How would they ever publicitize or advertise or distribute brochures? They cannot. Would have the best leather too and do it all himself. Now he did not believe in delegating. So what happens when you grow old? You have a business, you grow old, you hire people to run your business. For example, we have Dhirubhai Ambani, right? His business is taken over by his brothers who are running the business. Maybe possible when they are old and they are not able to look into the daily affairs, they will delegate it to someone else, right? But Mr. Gessler and Gessler brothers, yes, Gessler brother did not allow anybody else to touch the leather, touch the shoes. Well, there it is. What could you expect with his ideas? But starvation, that may be a bit flowery as they're saying it. So what's the answer? That may be a bit flowery as the saying is, but I know myself, he was sitting over his boots day and night to the very last. So this is what the Englishman had observed. Now the obsession of making boots, and that too of a perfect quality, and that's why the name of the chapter is quality. How can a person make boots which everybody across London remembers? It's only when you have burning desire, burning passion, you are deeply engrossed into your craft. And that's what the Englishman had observed as well. I know myself that the Gessler brother was sitting over his boots day and night, and even when he was dying, he was sitting with his boots. You see, I used to watch him. Never gave himself time to eat, never had a penny in the house. He never had any money. He never actually spared time to eat. So usually when we were busy doing something and it's maybe 12:30 or 1 p.m., your schools, even they understand that students should eat. We cannot make them study the whole day. Maybe at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. your mothers or fathers would call you, summon you for dinner, for supper. Yeah, we spend time to eat even when we are doing something that we love. But Gessler brother forgot eating. They didn't have any money anyway. All went in rent and leather. All the money was spent in paying the rent of the shop. So here we find out that the shop was not theirs. It was rented. And to buy the leather for the orders that the customers gave. How he lived so long, I don't know. Now, my personal observation is people who fast regularly, they also live longer because their digestive system gets breaks. So this Englishman had observed, and even he wondered, without eating, without money, how did these Gessler brothers survive? He let his fire go out, which means, what is the meaning of let his fire go out? Which means he regularly, so this is an idiom which means not to refrain showing anger. So he would get angry on small things, on trivial things, to let the fire go out. He was a character, which means he was a unique man, but he made good boots. Every legendary, every remarkable person is different from the crowd. Yes, the author said, he made good boots. And I turned and went out quickly, for I did not want that youth to know that I could hardly see. So here we see that the author and the Englishman, both of them praised Gessler brothers. And in one of the occasions, the author had turned out of the shop. He went out of the shop quickly because he could not see them, getting ill and pale. And now when the shop had gone, the author did not want to see what was there inside the shop, did not want any of the product of this Englishman, but he only missed Gessler brothers. I could hardly see, means I could barely see, I could not see the condition of the shop because it has been years since the author made visits and have the Gessler brother make boots for him. Now how can he bear the loss of the Gessler brother and the fact that the Gessler brother were no more and nobody would make good quality boots as they did? So friends, what do we learn from this chapter? There are many things that you can note it down as a takeaway. Number one is the passion for something. People who are passionate, they give best results. This Gessler brother, in one of the lines we saw how it's written, as if someone had woken them up dreaming about boots. So it's as if they were dreaming about boots, and if a customer came, it was as if we woke them up from their sleep wherein they dreamed about making boots. So this was their passion. And what is the result? The result is everybody in London knew that there is a shop of Gessler brother, and they made best boots in the whole of London. Another takeaway is the large firms who are contributing in killing the traditional ways of building things. Can you think of any other products that are depleted because of the foreign companies that have come in? I would love to hear from you about all such companies. And friends, what else is a takeaway from this chapter? If you serve your customers, well, if you understand the concept of customer is a king, if you have a business, if you understand this concept, yes, the customer will cherish your products, will appreciate what you give them forever. So I believe there are 3 to 4 takeaways and morals of this chapter. I'm sure you must have understood the chapter. It's about the author's confrontation or visits to Gessler brother, who made best of the best boots in London, and the fact that the large firms took over the boot business, and because of that, another fact that the Gessler brother died and they did not have any money left. It was replaced with another person. And finally, in the end, we saw that even the person who took over and the author appreciated the art that Gessler brothers had. Alright, if you have any doubts or questions, I would be happy to address them. Just mention them in comment section, and also the chapters which you want me to explain. I thank you for watching. I thank you for staying tuned, and I hope you have a great day.